All right, everybody, I'm back again. Now we're going to start doing the oil pump, and while I'm here, I'm going to do the plugs for the AV mounts. So just like I did to get the AV mounts in, we're going to add a little bit of WD-40. And I'll wipe this off, but you just need a little bit. And those will pop right in pretty quick. I'm not saturating it, but what these plugs do is they keep the AV mount from actually getting sucked out or pulled out. Because I think you've noticed before, we bolt the AV mount to the handle, then you put a plug in there to keep the AV mount from ripping out. It's a pretty good little system. And WD-40 isn't going to hurt the saw if you get it on there. This is the only one I'm kind of concerned with because it was actually pretty tight getting it in there. There it is. All right. Now back over to the oil pump side. All right, and for this right here, one Proline high output H.O pump. All right, now this isn't super necessary, but one thing that I do like to do is just put a little bit of grease around the nipple where it actually goes into the oil line. There's really not a whole lot there. It just makes it actually slip in a little bit better instead of fighting it. That's it right there. All right, now in the last one we did a pressure vac test to prove that the seals and the crankcase were good on this saw. And the other reason I do it the way I do with that carburetor adapter is to prove that I don't have an air leak under the carburetor or from the impulse line or the intake boot where it goes into the cylinder. You really want to test all of that. A lot of guys will just check the crankcase gasket and the seals. They won't actually check their intake boots. They won't check their impulse line. That little bit right there doesn't actually hurt. All right, here we go. This is your oil pump drive gear right here. All right, next thing we're doing right here. This is going to be the chain brake section, because I really don't want to start putting everything in there without doing the chain brake first. Sorry about that, didn't mean to bump the camera. All right, so first, okay, I'm going to set my E-clips over here. As we maybe remember from the last video of one of these that I built, we got to put this in here first. Then one E-clip. Man, that brake band is just sharp. All right. There it went. All right. I finally managed to get that thing in there. That was not a pleasant ordeal. It wasn't bad, but it definitely felt pretty rough getting it in there. All right, this pretty much only goes one way. Basically like that right there. You've got the knuckle on the bottom, so whenever you pull back, it'll open it back up, but push it forward, it goes down. So this goes in here like so. Line the holes up. And then wrestle with it to get it to line up. The way I found in the past to do these is reach in here with a pair of needle nose, pull down on that cam. All right. I basically had to do it holding it against my leg, but grab hold of this casing right here and then that cam right there, and you can get it in. And then any of the rest of the fight you got to do, you can basically kind of inch it out. There it is. All right. Now I'm going to put this E-clip on here. Then we'll do the rest of the brake system, and I'll start getting the rest of the parts in here. Okay, now for the brake band. There we go. This goes through here. Now, sometimes I do this with a string, but I'm going to give this a shot real quick and see if I can do the 661 with just a screwdriver. There it went. Flip that over real quick, find it a little bit easier. All right, so there's that. All right. This is not stamped, but you're going to have a raised section that you want to go away from your clutch. So that goes down. Basically, this raised section will face the clutch. If you do it the other way, you'll end up with your clutch slammed into that, and it'll constantly be driving your oil pump. All right, I'm going to pause this real quick and find my my piston. Right, I got my cylinder stop in there. I'm going to reach over here. I don't tend to tighten these up like all the way. I don't torque the clutch or anything, because what you end up doing there, when you run the saw, it just gets tighter. So I just snug it up a little bit. All right. Now, we're going to focus most of our attention right here for the moment and finishing up the side of the saw. And one of these right here, I've got, okay, here's our chain tensioner we're going to put in here in a minute. But we also have, yeah. All right, one thing you got to be aware of, this baggie comes with 2 bearings right here. This is your clutch drum bearing. It's got a plastic race. The other one is a metal race. Okay, so I'm looking down in there. I might need my flashlight real quick. Right here it is. The oil pump drive is right between those 2 screw heads right there. So what I'm going to do, there's a notch right here in the drum. All right, I'm back. I wound up having to take that off, and I had the brake band just a little bit out of the out of its groove, so I wasn't able to get the drum in there because it was all cocked to one side. On this right here, I like to put just a little bit of grease on it. Line that up. Sometimes you can do this, sometimes you can't. This one we can. Just take a screwdriver and push it down the last little bit of the way. Okay. This is a 3/8/7, which I think will be ideal for most stuff in my local area. All right. As I'm just standing here running screws back in. But I'm not trying to break them off. All right. All right, so what we're gonna do right here, a little bit of grease over the post and on this O-ring that goes in here. A little bit of grease on the gears of the adjuster. There it goes. Now the trick is to not run this in to where it covers up that that screw head right there. Any of the gears and what have you, they just do better with a little bit of grease. I ran that in just a little bit too far, so we're going to go forward. You're going to have to reach in and hold down on that. All right, where did I set that little bugger? Right there. Okay, one of the last things I got to put in there, I can wait on because that's not falling out now. It's just the bar plate.